Can I ask you a question? Is there not a University of the Gambia? There is, correct? So if there is a University of the Gambia, and in the university, that's where you learn medicine. In the university, that's where you learn engineering. In the university, that's where you learn architectural science. So if you have a University of the Gambia, why are Lebanese and Chinese and Anglo-Saxons being brought into your country to build the buildings and the roads? If you got your own university, then Gambian children should be building Gambia, not foreigners. And I don't mean no disrespect to anybody here, but I want to be absolutely honest now. Anybody in Africa who is not a black African is an invader or an opportunist or the child of an invader or an opportunist. There's only one African, and that's the black African. There is no other one. I don't care how long your people been here. They're not indigenous to this country. You are a visitor. And the problem with Africa, we're the only people who will let aliens come into our house without giving them rules of conduct. They will come to Africa and treat it like it's their own. Look at you like you don't belong there. Now, in America, we are a numerical minority. In America, the African is only about 15% of the entire country. We are a numerical minority. In the United Kingdom, a numerical minority. In Asia, in Canada, a numerical minority. But nothing bothers me more than to come home to Africa and see where we are a numerical majority treated like a minority. People say black folks need mental health treatment. We do. Which is why I want to speak to your minister of health. And if the minister of health got a weave, get a new one. Because you can't bring health if you ain't got none. I'm serious. Because when I travel through Africa, many of the black leaders are worshiping white cultural values. You can't liberate Africa unless you got an African consciousness. Did you know that most constitutions in Africa were written by white scholars out of Washington, D.C.? Do you know that most of your leaders were trained by the UK and the U.S.? You can't liberate Africa with people who've been taught to worship the way white folks do things. I'm just being honest. Which is why I tell my brothers and sisters in Africa, if I was a citizen of your country, I'm not voting for no politician unless they can answer me 3 questions. And I hope they're watching. This ain't personal. It's political. This is the business of African liberation. We ain't got time. Oh, well, that's my cousin. So what? Are you loyal to your cousin or are you loyal to your race? Make up your mind. Because guess what? In the global African revolution, you might have to separate yourself from your own parents, from your own husband and wife. Coons got to go. We got too many black folks coming. So what are the 3 questions I would ask anybody running for office in Africa? Question number 1. What are you going to do to limit the Chinese confiscation of African lands and resources? I need an answer. I'm not voting for you. I don't care what party you belong to. I don't care how charismatic you are. You better tell me how you're going to stop the Chinese from taking over my country. If you ain't got no answer, you ain't no leader. That's number 1. Number 2, what are you going to do to empower indigenous Gambians, our own people? What are you going to do to empower them economically so that they can build their own businesses and compete with the invader? Because guess what the aliens do? They show up in Gambia, they show up in Senegal, they show up in Cote d'Ivoire, they show up in Nigeria, they show up in Ghana, they show up in Liberia, they show up in the Congo with a boatload of poor folks from their native country. Poor! And within 5 years, they rich in Gambia. Do you know how that happens? Because they're able to get a line of credit from their bank back home. Their banks back home will finance them to come in and buy up and take over African land and resources. This is facts. This is facts. China is overcrowded. I was just there speaking in January. China is looking for places where they can strategically offload their excess poor population. And there's no better place than underdeveloped Africa. But nobody wants to talk about why Africa is underdeveloped, though. Developing nation. Ain't no damn developing nation. There's oppressed nations and oppressor nations. That's it.